Most islands were formed millions of years ago and have been slowly dying ever since. Iceland is different. It's still being built. Volcanoes pushing new land from the ocean floor, glaciers carving fresh valleys, the ground literally cracking open beneath people's feet. This isn't a place frozen in time. It's a place time hasn't finished with yet. Iceland is unlike anywhere else on Earth, and the numbers prove it. This island is one of the youngest land masses on the planet, still actively being formed beneath your feet. Yet, despite being cold, wet, and boggy, the exact conditions mosquitoes love, Iceland has zero. Not a single one. Scientists still aren't sure why. But if the mosquitoes did survive, they'd at least stay warm. Nearly all of Iceland's electricity comes from geothermal and hydropower, meaning the island essentially heats itself using the volcano it's sitting on. And speaking of volcanoes, there are active ones erupting right now, underneath a glacier. Vatnajökull Glacier is larger than some entire countries, and somewhere deep beneath all that ice, the Earth is still burning. Some of the icebergs floating at Jökulsárlón took over 1,000 years to form. Ancient ice, drifting past you in silence. And every summer, over 8 million puffins descend on a single island. Then night falls. Except it doesn't. Walk out of a club at 3 a.m. in Reykjavik, and you'll find broad daylight waiting for you. Iceland doesn't need to exaggerate. The truth is already unbelievable. What if the ice floating right in front of you was already ancient when Vikings first set foot on this island? At Jökulsárlón, some icebergs take up to 1,000 years to fully melt, meaning the chunk drifting past your boat may have formed while medieval Europe was still in the Dark Ages. Think about that for a second. You're standing at the edge of Iceland's largest glacier lagoon, 18 square kilometers of water plunging 250 meters deep, and it didn't even exist before 1934. The glacier retreated, and this whole world revealed itself. Turquoise ice glows against black volcanic sand. Seals slit between bergs like they own the place. Honestly, they might. Down at the shore, waves wash ice fragments onto the beach, scattering them like shattered glass across dark earth. The cold bites your face, the silence presses in, and ancient ice cracks slowly toward the sea. Here is something most people get wrong about Iceland's most visited attraction. The Blue Lagoon is not natural. Not even close. It is an accident, a byproduct of a geothermal power plant that started pumping superheated water onto black lava fields back in 1976. Nobody planned this. Nobody designed it. The earth and industry just collided, and the result is this surreal expanse of milky turquoise water stretching across jagged volcanic rock. You lower yourself in and the warmth wraps around you immediately, silica-rich minerals coating your skin like velvet. Steam drifts in slow columns, curling against whatever sky Iceland decides to give you that day. Steel gray, pale gold, sometimes both. Locals notice the water seem to heal skin conditions, and word spread fast. Now, over 1 million visitors soak here every year. But in the early morning light, with mist swallowing the lava fields, it still feels like a beautiful mistake. Did you know there are active volcanoes erupting right now beneath a glacier? Not beside it. Not near it. underneath 8,100 square kilometers of ice, an area larger than some countries. Vatnajökull is Europe's largest glacier, and buried deep below its frozen surface, volcanoes like Grímsvötn have been detonating for over a century, sending catastrophic floods of meltwater surging across the landscape. Fire and ice locked in a slow, relentless battle. You stand at the edge and the scale just breaks your brain. White stretches to the horizon in every direction, streaked with veins of black volcanic ash. Step inside one of the ice caves and the world turns electric blue. Centuries of compressed snow refracting light into colors that don't look real. 12,000 years old, born from the last ice age and still reshaping itself with every eruption beneath. The ground here is never quite finished becoming something new. Water thunders off a cliff 60 meters above you, crashing into mist so thick it soaks through your jacket in seconds. This is Seljalandsfoss, and most waterfalls would keep you at a distance, admiring from the front. Not this one. A narrow path carved into the rock curves behind the cascade itself, placing you inside the fall, looking out through a curtain of rushing water at the green Icelandic lowlands beyond. Few waterfalls anywhere on Earth let you do that. The roar is deafening back there, vibrating through your chest, drowning out every thought except pure awe. Local legend ties the name to a woman called Selja, who supposedly lived in a cave nearby. And honestly, standing behind that wall of water, you understand why someone would never want to leave. Come at sunset if you can. Golden light pierces through the cascade, turning every droplet into fire against the darkening cliffs. What if you could stand with one foot on North America and the other on Europe? At Thingvellir, you actually can. Two tectonic plates, the North American and Eurasian, drift apart here at roughly 2 centimeters every year, and you walk right through the gap they leave behind. Moss-covered lava walls rise on either side as you descend into the rift, the air carrying traces of sulfur and damp earth. But here's what makes this place truly layered. In 930 AD, Viking settlers gathered in this same valley and founded the Althing, one of the oldest parliaments on the planet. Democracy, born between splitting continents. Peer into the Silfra fissure, and the water is so clear it barely looks like water at all. Just blue light reaching down between two worlds, slowly pulling apart. Did you know Gullfoss nearly ceased to exist? In the early 1900s, plans were drawn to harness this waterfall for hydroelectric power. But a farmer's daughter named Sigríður Tómasdóttir refused to let it happen. Walking barefoot over 100 kilometers to Reykjavík to fight the proposal, even threatening to throw herself into the falls if they went through with it. She won. And thank God she did. You hear Gullfoss before you see it. A deep, relentless roar that vibrates through your chest as you approach the canyon rim. Then the river Hvítá reveals itself, plunging in 2 dramatic stages. 32 meters down into a crevice, so deep the water seems to vanish into the earth itself. On sunny days, mist rises like smoke and rainbows hang suspended in the spray. They call it Golden Falls. Come in late afternoon and you'll understand why. The light turns every crashing wave to molten amber. Iceland built one of its most famous churches by copying a waterfall. Hallgrímskirkja in Reykjavík, that towering concrete landmark you see on every postcard, was modeled directly after the basalt columns surrounding Svartifoss. And when you stand here, you immediately understand why. Dark hexagonal columns hang like organ pipes from a cliff edge, each one forged when lava cooled so rapidly it fractured into near-perfect geometry. Water plunges 20 meters over that curtain of black stone, crashing into a shallow pool below. The contrast hits you. Obsidian rock, white mist, moss so green it almost glows. You earn this view, though. A moderate hike winds uphill through birch forest, the sound of rushing water growing louder with every turn. By late afternoon, low sunlight catches the spray and those dark columns seem to shimmer against the green valley behind them. Nature's cathedral, long before anyone thought to build one. Did you know there might be Viking treasure hidden behind a waterfall? According to Icelandic legend, a chieftain named Rasi buried a chest of gold directly behind Skógafoss, and when locals later tried to retrieve it, they grabbed the ring on the side of the chest before the whole thing vanished back into the rock. That ring now sits in the Skógar Folk Museum, just steps away. True or not, standing at the base of this 60-meter wall of white water, you believe every word. The roar is constant, almost physical. It vibrates in your chest before you even get close. Mist soaks your jacket within seconds, and on mornings when the sun cuts low across the valley, a full double rainbow arcs right through the spray. Climb the metal staircase along the cliff to the top, and the green river valley stretches south toward the sea, impossibly vivid against all that churning white. You feel Dettifoss before you see it. A low rumble rises through the ground beneath your boots, vibrating up through your legs, and then the edge. 193 cubic meters of glacial meltwater per second hurling itself over dark basalt cliffs. That's more than twice the flow of Niagara. Europe's most powerful waterfall doesn't just fall. It detonates. 44 meters down into a canyon carved over 12,000 years by ice and volcanic fury. The mist hits your face like cold rain, and on clear days, rainbows twist through the spray above the gorge. There's a reason Ridley Scott filmed the opening of Prometheus here. The landscape doesn't look like Earth. You stand at the railing, drenched, ears ringing, watching white water collide with black rock, and nothing else exists. Did you know there's a waterfall in Iceland where the cliff face itself tells a 12,000-year-old story? Hengifoss plunges 128 meters down a canyon wall striped in vivid red and charcoal black, each layer a chapter of ancient eruptions and glacial grinding, frozen in stone. The hike to reach it takes about an hour, winding uphill through green valleys, and with every step, the colors sharpen. Those crimson bands? Ancient soil baked between lava flows, oxidized iron bleeding through the rock like rust through time. You arrive and the water drops in a single white ribbon against this painted cliff, mist curling off the basin below. Locals say spirits wander the river here. A woman and her children, lost to the current long ago. Standing at the edge, you almost believe it. 2 million years old. And practically nobody outside Iceland knew it existed until 1999. Fjaðrárgljúfur. A canyon so ancient that glaciers carved it before humans even walked upright, yet it sat here in southern Iceland, quietly waiting. You approach along a narrow trail, and then the earth just opens. 2 kilometers of serpentine gorge plunge 120 meters down, every cliff face draped in moss so impossibly green it looks electric against the dark volcanic rock. Below, a crystal river threads through like a vein of glass. The place gained fame after a certain pop star filmed here in 2015, and honestly, the attention makes sense. But arrive early, when mist clings to the canyon walls and you hear nothing but water echoing off ancient stone. That silence belongs to something far older than fame. The ground here is alive. Not metaphorically. Literally hissing, bubbling, spitting steam from cracks in the earth where molten rock lurks just a few kilometers beneath your feet. The Reykjanes Peninsula sits on Iceland's youngest volcanic system, a raw 1,500 square kilometer stretch where the planet is still actively building itself. You smell it before you see it. Sulfur, thick and primal, hanging in the air as you walk past the mud pools at Seltún, their gray surfaces popping like slow-motion fireworks. Moss-covered lava fields stretch endlessly in every direction, alien and impossibly green against black rock that cooled centuries ago. Catch it at sunrise, and the steam vents glow gold against a violet sky. This isn't scenery. It's geology in real time. The earth exhaling. Did you know this mountain is nearly 1 million years old? Kirkjufell rises 463 meters above the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, the collapsed remnant of a volcano that last erupted when woolly mammoths still roamed Europe. Locals will tell you trolls live inside it, and honestly, standing at its base in fading light, you almost believe them. The shape is what gets you. Not a peak, not a ridge. More like a church steeple dragged from the earth by ancient hands. A waterfall tumbles just meters away, and when the air is still, the mountain doubles itself perfectly in the lake below. Green moss, dark stone, silver water. But wait until after dark. When the northern lights roll in, Kirkjufell transforms into something that doesn't feel like it belongs on this planet at all. This massive rock promontory jutting into the Atlantic was once its own island. 12,000 years ago, volcanic eruptions and relentless erosion slowly fused it to the mainland. But stand up here on the cliffs, and you can still feel its isolation. The wind tears across 120 meters of sheer drop, and below, the ocean punches through a colossal stone arch wide enough for a boat to pass through. That arch gave this place its name, Dyrhólaey, Door Hill Island. Sailors used it for centuries as a landmark to find their way home. Come summer, thousands of puffins crowd the cliff edges, completely unbothered by the chaos of waves below. But visit at sunset when golden light floods those endless black sand beaches stretching in both directions, and the whole coastline feels almost unreal. Did you know that during World War II, the US Navy quietly built a military base inside one of Iceland's most remote fjords to hunt German U-boats? Hvalfjörður, Whale Fjord. The name tells you what lived here first. 30 kilometers of glacier-carved water stretching inland between cliffs that rise steep and green, their tops dusted white with snow. You drive along the shore and there's almost nothing. No towns, no crowds. Just deep blue water so still it mirrors the sky like glass. Then you spot the old concrete foundations half swallowed by moss. An entire secret chapter of the North Atlantic War, slowly disappearing into the landscape. early morning is when this place reveals itself. Mist clings to the surface, light catches the water, and somewhere out in that silence, a whale breaks through. Water seeps from solid rock. Not one dramatic plunge, but hundreds of tiny rivulets bleeding through a lava field across 900 meters of black stone. Hraunfossar isn't really a waterfall at all. It's the earth weeping. Glacial water filters through porous lava left by ancient eruptions, traveling underground for miles before emerging here in ribbons of mineral-rich turquoise against volcanic black. You stand at the viewing platform and your eyes can't settle. There's no single focal point, just this impossibly wide curtain of water appearing from nowhere. The color alone stops you cold. That deep, almost electric blue-green, fed by dissolved minerals from deep within the rock. In late afternoon light, the lava field glows warm while those cold springs keep pouring, quiet and relentless, as if the landscape itself is slowly exhaling. In late 2023, the ground beneath Grindavík literally cracked open. Streets split. Houses tilted. An entire town evacuated as magma surged beneath their feet. And yet, people came back. That's the thing about this place. It sits on one of the most volcanically active zones on the planet, where the earth doesn't just rumble occasionally, it breathes. You walk across blackened lava fields, steam hissing through fissures at your boots, the sharp bite of sulfur catching your throat. Originally a quiet fishing village, Grindavík now straddles the impossible line between habitable town and geological chaos. The ground here shifts constantly, reshaping the landscape in real time. Come at sunset, when amber light pours across the fractured terrain and steam columns glow gold against a violet sky. Nothing stays still here. Not even the earth. Did you know it took 41 years to build a single church? Construction on Hallgrímskirkja began in 1945 and wasn't finished until 1986. An entire generation grew up watching this thing rise, column by column, into the Reykjavík skyline. And that facade isn't random geometry. Those sweeping concrete wings mirror the basalt columns that volcanic eruptions carved across Iceland over millennia. Nature's architecture, frozen in concrete. You step inside and a 5,000-pipe organ fills the nave with sound that vibrates through your chest. At 73 meters, it's Iceland's tallest church, and the tower elevator rewards you with a panoramic sweep of colorful rooftops stretching toward distant mountains. Come at sunset. Cool gray concrete catches warm amber light, and long shadows stretch down the street like cathedral fingers reaching across the city. In 1973, a volcano erupted right beneath this town, splitting the earth just 200 meters from the nearest homes. Every single resident evacuated in a single night. And then they came back. Heimaey, the only inhabited island in the Westman archipelago, sits on barely 13 square kilometers of volcanic rock, black sand, and moss so green it almost glows against the North Atlantic. Every summer, more than 8 million puffins descend on these cliffs. 8 million. You stand at the edge and the air fills with whirring wings, thousands of stubby black and white bodies launching themselves off ledges into the wind. Below, candy-colored houses cluster against dark volcanic slopes, smoke still rising from vents in the earth. Life, stubbornly thriving where it probably shouldn't. Did you know there's a lake in Iceland named after midges? Mývatn. Literally, Midge Lake. Not exactly glamorous. But here's what that humble name hides. 14 species of fish thrive in these waters, including a trout found nowhere else on Earth. The lake itself emerged from a volcanic eruption roughly 2,300 years ago, and the land still hasn't settled down. You smell it before you see it. Sulfur, sharp, and unmistakable, drifting from the bubbling vents at Þingvellir. The ground hisses. Steam curls from cracked earth stained yellow and orange. Then you reach the pseudocraters at Skútustaðir, strange mounds that look like tiny volcanoes but never actually erupted. At sunset, the sky melts across the water's surface. Copper, violet, gold, and those relentless midges become nothing but silhouettes dancing against the light. Did you know there's a power station sitting directly on top of a volcano that has erupted 29 times in the last 300 years? Krafla doesn't care about your safety margins. This 90 square kilometer volcanic system in northeast Iceland generates enough geothermal energy to power 50,000 homes, pulled straight from the fury beneath your feet. You smell it before you see it. Sulfur hangs thick in the air as steam hisses from cracked earth. Then the landscape opens up. Black lava fields stretch endlessly, split by veins of electric green moss, and there, nestled in a crater, sits Viti, a lake so impossibly blue it looks photoshopped. Mud pots bubble and pop like something alive. In late afternoon light, the lava fields glow warm against drifting columns of steam. A raw planet. No filter needed. The black sand here isn't sand at all. It's crushed volcanic ash, ground fine by centuries of Atlantic waves. Stocksness feels like stepping onto a film set someone forgot to strike. Vesterhorn juts nearly 1,500 feet straight up from that dark shoreline, its jagged peaks reflected in shallow tidal pools that mirror everything. Cool, gritty earth beneath your boots. Salt wind against your face. Vikings once settled this coast, and local legends insist hidden people still dwell in those ridges. At golden hour, the mountains glow amber against ink-black ground. A contrast so sharp it barely looks real. Did you know that when Fjaðrárgljúfur erupted in 2021, the Earth was breaking open for the first time in over 800 years? 8 centuries of silence, shattered overnight. And here's the wild part. You can hike to it from Reykjavik in under an hour. The trail winds across moss-covered lava fields until sulfur hits your nostrils, sharp and unmistakable. Then you see it. Rivers of molten rock carving fresh paths down the hillside, black crust splitting to reveal veins of furious orange beneath. At sunset, the whole valley pulses like something alive and restless. Did you know that when they needed an alien planet for Interstellar, they came here? No CGI required. Svartifoss is a 5-mile tongue of ice stretching down from a glacier, so vast it covers 8% of Iceland, the largest in all of Europe. You stand at its edge and the scale breaks your brain. Black volcanic ash streaks across ice that glows an almost electric blue, like something lit from within. Jagged crevasses split the surface into formations that look sculpted by hand. Nothing about this place feels like Earth. Late afternoon light carves deep shadows across the ridges, and the only sound is ancient ice slowly cracking beneath its own weight. Did you know Reykjavik's most beloved lake isn't natural at all? Tjörnin emerged from drained wetlands in the late 18th century. Yet it feels like it's been here forever. On a calm morning, the water turns turquoise glass, reflecting candy-colored houses and the sharp spire of a church rising behind them. Swans drift in slow arcs while Arctic terns dive and squabble overhead. At 110 acres, it's the city's largest lake and Iceland's most popular birdwatching spot. Grab some bread, find a bench, and watch the whole capital come alive around you. Iceland doesn't ask you to believe in magic. It just shows you the evidence. The island that's still becoming. And if you want to see more places like it, subscribe. We're just getting started.